Because, Your Honor, I object to
What
the
do
fact
you
that
not
it's calling it
understand?
a no
Sir,
RV.
your objections mean shit to me. So you keep saying, I object, I object, I object. I don't care. I don't care what you're objecting to. I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying. I object to the
You
denying.
can't object. You can appeal. Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
All right, everyone, today we've got one of the most stubborn sovereign citizens to ever step into a courtroom. This guy's ego? Off the charts. He straight up refuses to answer even the most basic questions from none other than Judge Oakley, who, by the way, is hands down the best judge on YouTube. It's honestly mind-blowing how this guy thinks he can dodge the law and out-talk the judge with all his nonsense. But let me tell you something. Judge Oakley isn't playing around. He stays cool, calm, and collected, handling the situation with sharp precision and putting this sovereign citizen in his place like a total pro. It's almost like watching a master at work. He doesn't flinch, doesn't get rattled. He just brings that courtroom back to order. As you're watching this unfold, I want to hear your thoughts. Did Judge Oakley handle it perfectly? Or do you think he could have been even tougher on this guy? Drop your ratings from 1 to 10 in the comments below. Let's get this conversation going. And now let's dive into what might be one of the wildest, most intense courtroom battles I've seen in ages. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one.
You got a motion filed?
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely. She had, I actually had issues to discuss before I crossed.
But the court reporter needs to pick you up.
Here, you don't have to be at the podium, but at least have a seat at that table where that microphone is.
Threats, coercion, and I'm under duress. I'll cross.
You're under duress. How are you under duress?
Well, Your Honor, as stated in my motion, there's actually fraudulent word that was sent to me unsigned by a judge. I have lawsuits filed on all of this stuff right now, which I know that they received.
Hold on, brother. Wait. I'm just asking you to have a seat at the chair with a microphone.
Oh, I understand that. I'll do it. Okay. The front check or something.
That's fine. Just make sure you're talking to the microphone.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, you can sit down. Okay. So I think this is your motion to dismiss, right?
Yeah, I have a few in there that I've been repeatedly trying to be dismissed.
Which one do you want to start with first?
Well, the recent one I filed, the motion to reject the swearing in and all that, based off the fact that, like I said, I was sent a default motion that I don't know how it even got sent out past the day, but it was never signed or anything. I was also defaulted out the fact that there was a citation that never even presented a court appearance.
Okay, hold on. You're giving me too many issues. You're talking about swearing in. You're talking about a default judgment. Just pick one issue. We're going to deal with them one at a time. So what do you want to deal with first?
Well, my main motion. Well, yeah, the default.
Okay, so was that on the civil infraction, failed to disclose the CPL?
I suppose that's what it was under, yes.
Okay, don't suppose, it's your motion, brother. Tell me what it is.
Well, it keeps getting set
that's the only
aside,
civil
so
infraction.
I have numerous, I have lots of stuff.
Hold on, that's the only civil infraction I see with your name on it. So I'm just confirming that we're talking about that charge.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you know why the default was entered? Did you miss a deadline? Did you
I was notified. I was called by people that I know within Huron and the police chief stating that I had a missed appearance date. I never had an appearance date scheduled, but I went back looking at the citation. There was no date. And actually how fast it got issued raises real concerns to me. And then once I received the default in the order.
Hold on. Let's take one thing at a time. So you said you never got an appearance date.
Correct.
Do you have a copy of the ticket? Because I've got a copy.
Yeah, I said it's in there. It's attached to my motions.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the ticket?
I do.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to look at that copy of the ticket, because my copy of your ticket says contact court for appearance date.
It says contact court for appearance date. Where it says appearance date on or before, there's nothing.
Okay, but it says contact court for appearance date. That means the monkey's on your back to contact us.
I will also on the bottom of the tickets, it says if you fail to contact court within the specified amount of time. There was no specified amount of time on here. I had no idea when I was supposed to contact court. I was dealing with trying to get my attorney.
Let me ask you this. Did you contact the court?
I was again, as I said, I had no sort of any time frame to contact the court.
Mr. Crucell, this is going to go a lot easier on everybody if you just answer the question I asked. I'm going to give you plenty of chance to give me any argument you want to give. Okay? So don't feel that you have to force your argument into every question I ask. The question was, did you contact the court?
Well, Your Honor, I would have contacted the court if I had a specified.
That's a yes or no. So I'm going to take that as a no. You didn't contact the court. So after 14 days on a civil infraction, if we don't hear from the defendant, we enter default.
It was less than that, actually, when I was defaulted, Your Honor.
Less than that from what?
From whatever this was issued. And like I said, I was contacting
once again, I'm going to draw your attention to the ticket.
The issue with sovereign citizens is they treat courtroom rules like some kind of twisted legal drama. It's fake, it's shady, and honestly, that's why so many people, including myself, can't stand dealing with them. They think they can outsmart the system, but all they're doing is digging themselves a deeper hole. Now, just to be clear, I'm not a sovereign citizen, but if I ever found myself in that situation, I'd at least show enough respect to avoid a contempt charge. They're not the worst people in the world. But here's the thing. If they just chill out, respect the judge, and follow basic rules, they might actually get treated a lot better. Refusing to answer simple, straightforward questions, that's pure ego at play, and let me tell you, it's not doing them any favors in the courtroom.
Which I think is the same one you got, is dated February 3rd.
Correct.
Okay, so that's when it was issued, February 3rd.
Correct.
So when was the default? When did you get notice of a default?
Where is that? I received, I'm sorry, I know I got the thing in the mail. When did I get this? This says that, I don't even think it specifies a date.
Well, did you make a note when you received it?
This told me, this said I don't remember exactly what date I received this in the mail, but this was scheduled for March 8th.
Okay.
So that was even less than a
But what is that that's scheduled?
This says it was for my order, the motion affidavit saying that I was defaulted and saying I needed to pay bond and an a warrant would be issued. And I said,
Okay.
again, that was never.
And that's dated what?
This was dated 3/8. That I needed to appear
Okay.
on or before 3/8.
Okay, so that was March 8th. You were defaulted February 22nd.
Okay. Which then, again, there was no dates. I had no nothing. I had no
Okay.
notice
Well,
of any
well,
sort of.
Once again,
appearance.
you're not hearing what I'm telling you. The monkey was on your back. The ticket clearly said you contact us. You never did.
And it also specifies right here, if you fail to appear by the date specified, and then on the bottom one, even for the other one, if you fail to answer a citation by date specified, there was no dates.
Okay,
There was no dates.
okay. Do you have anything to add?
I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Crusoe brought this up when we were in front of the Honorable Judge Martin. She did set aside the default in the civil infraction, irregardless of whether or not he showed up.
Which I object to the setting
Sir, do
aside.
not interrupt the lady. Did she interrupt you?
No,
Then don't do that. Let's be civil. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Green, Mr. Crusoe did bring it up again with the Honorable Judge Green, and she declined or denied his motion based on the fact that it was moot because the Judge Martin set it aside.
So the default's already been set aside.
Yes,
Brother, why'd you just waste 5 minutes of my life?
since March 14th, Your Honor.
which I object to that because there's.
You object to your motion being
No, I
granted?
object to them setting aside my motion.
So this guy is out here claiming that there has to be an injured party in his criminal case. Seriously? Let me break this down for you. The injured party doesn't have to be someone who's physically hurt. In fact, the state itself is the injured party because when you break the law, it impacts everyone. That's exactly why the judge pointed out that the injured party here is the people of Michigan. You can't just break the law and say, well, no one's bleeding, so I'm fine. That's like robbing a bank and then turning around and saying, unless the vault itself files a complaint, I'm in the clear. It's pure nonsense. So what do you think? Just completely clueless, or is he just wasting everyone's time? Let's stick around and see if he can outdo this level of ridiculousness. Original clip. Original clip. This is exactly why I have so much respect for this judge. He knows exactly how to handle sovereign citizens. He doesn't let them hijack the courtroom with their nonsense, and he's not afraid to call them out when they try to twist the law to their advantage. Now, some of you in the comments argue that he's too harsh, but honestly, I think it's absolutely necessary. Sovereign citizens have this mentality that the law just doesn't apply to them, and sometimes a firm hand or even a bit of sarcasm is the only way to keep things under control. Let's be real. You can't just let them run wild with these ridiculous arguments. What do you think? Is the judge being too harsh, or is he just doing his job? Personally, I think he's absolutely spot on. Letting the courtroom turn into a circus? Yeah, that's not an option. The law needs to be respected. Now let's dive back in. Looks like this guy might be about to rack up another fine.
And I object to this.
No. Wait, listen. She tells me Judge Martin set aside the default based on your motion.
Yes, but I was never told any of that prior to any of that.
So you want to argue about the fact that you got what you asked for?
No, what I'm saying is the fact that the due process was violated is what happened in this whole problem. When I was defaulted, due process was violated.
So what? She set it aside.
Listen, it was set aside to cause damages to me because of what happened with the default.
Well, explain to me how you were damaged.
First off, there's threats made against me, right? Clearly he's threatening me to
No,
issue
no, no.
warrants,
I didn't ask you
threatening to
about
pay
threats.
money.
I said, how were you? You said you were damaged. I'm asking you, what was the damage?
But the fact that I was threatened to come in and pay money or warrants. would
How
be
was that
issued for my
damage?
arrest. And I was being threatened by Huron police, which I have on record.
What's the damage?
What do you mean? The fact that I had to come in and pay money, or I would have been, they'd have been issued.
What money
warrants.
did you pay?
Huh?
What money did you pay?
$280. I had the receipt and everything. It was all attached to my motions. They just keep trying to set it aside. And Judge Green never said a word to me
Stop.
about any of that.
It's been set aside. Counsel just said, Judge Martin set aside the default. So what that means is procedurally, it's like it's a brand new file. Understood?
Yeah, but that's according, yeah, but that, especially now with the new Chevron overlay, that's just saying that she's just trying to set it aside, that there's no issues.
She didn't try to set aside, she sat it
But she
aside.
can't. She can't just set my rights aside.
She's not setting your rights aside. She set a default aside because you asked her to.
Well, so if it's set aside, then the money should be returned, correct?
Well, I don't know. Did she address the money?
I don't
No,
think so.
she never did. No one did. It's
Sir.
written in my motion.
Sir, I'm going to hold you in contempt the next time you cut her off.
I honestly wish we could see this guy's face right now. The amount of time you waste trying to grasp the simplest concepts, like what a probable cause conference even is, it's honestly maddening. This isn't rocket science, people. It's just about figuring out if there's enough evidence to move forward with the case. But he's acting like he's preparing for the bar exam or something. And don't even get me started on that grilled cheese moment. Had me in tears from laughing so hard. So, what do you think? Is he genuinely this clueless, or is he just pretending to be? Either way, he probably thinks he's outsmarting everyone, but in reality, he looks like a total fool. All right, enough talk. Let's dive back into this because things are about to get even crazier.
The first contempt, $100. The second contempt, a day in jail. Are we clear on the ground rules for my courtroom? Is that a yes for the
Yes, Your
record?
Honor.
Okay. I'm giving you all the time you need to talk. Don't talk over her.
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry. There's just been a lot that's been going on with this.
And I'm the first time I'm seeing it, so I'm trying to
right.
get to the bottom of it.
You're right.
All right. So we started with what motion do you want to talk about first? You said your motion to set aside the default. That was granted by Judge Martin, is what I'm hearing from the prosecutor. So that motion's done. Would you agree?
As long as my money gets returned, then I guess it's taken
At
care
some point, trust me, your money will either get applied or returned. Next motion you want to talk about.
the dismissal based off of fundamental violations of my fundamental rights and due process.
Okay, well, tell me more.
Okay.
You have, hold on, let me just cut to the chase. You have more than just the fact that you think you have a right to travel.
Yes, Your Honor. Actually,
That's denied. I'll just cut to the chase. That's denied. I don't buy into that argument. Now, you can appeal that decision to the circuit court. You understand how that works? District court decisions you can appeal.
absolutely.
Okay, hold on. I've denied that motion. We're not going to talk about that motion because I've denied it based on your argument that you have a right to travel and don't need a license. Is there anything else you want to hang your hat on for dismissal?
Well, I do object to the setting aside of my motion, Your Honor.
I'm not setting aside your motion. I'm denying your motion.
Well, denying, I object to the
You
denying.
can't
of my motion.
object. You can appeal.
Well, I'm just
Okay.
letting you know, I'm stating for the record that I am objecting to your denial of my appeal.
That's fine.
Okay.
Circuit court judges have bills to pay too, right? So you appeal me to the circuit court. Do you have any other argument why these cases should be dismissed?
Yes, absolutely. Well, honest, Your Honor, like I said, I even have both lawsuits. They've received my lawsuits to the Huron Township Police Department overall.
Hold on. I don't know anything about lawsuit. How would you suing the township work as a reason to dismiss these charges?
Because the initial traffic stop and everything was an unlawful stop from the get. I was
Okay, but that's got
retaliating.
nothing to do with your lawsuit. That might be the basis of your lawsuit. So you want to talk about whether or not there was a valid reason for a
Yeah,
stop?
absolutely.
Then make the argument.
Yeah, Your Honor, so prior to me being pulled over by this officer, I was actually in contact with several law enforcement officers that are friends, and actually two that are currently working within Huron that had confirmed I had every lawful right to be doing what I was doing. The one even pulled up to me and my wife at a gas station in town, and we had, or in Sibley and Middle Belt, right near actually where I got pulled over, and we had discussed it and talked about it, and went on about our day, and this was all prior to this incident. I had two other interactions with this officer where I had specifically told him, I've already been confirmed and doing lawful, I'm well within my lawful rights. I have it documented. You need to go talk to the sergeant that I've been talking to and a couple other buddies, right? I gave him that opportunity. It was shortly after, and I had that confirmation well prior to me even being pulled over. Okay. So then, this officer seen me leaving my house, pulling off my dead end dirt road, proceeded. Like I said, I even told him, I've already had this, I've already
Right.
addressed this. You need to go talk to the sergeant.
Right.
Chose not to. Pulled me over, walked up, just started demanding ID and everything from me. He wouldn't identify himself, none of that good stuff. And then now this is where it's all led to. And I informed him, I have body cams, I have my own recording. And like I said, I have a lot.
Okay, but you started out by saying you wanted this dismissed because there was not probable cause for the stop.
Correct.
Okay. And then you went on to tell me how there was obviously a difference in opinion within the department about whether or not what you were doing was legal or not.
Well,
Is that a fair summation?
What was that?
Is that a fair summation of what you just said? Some of the officers that you talked to said you could do that, and obviously the officer that wrote you the ticket didn't think you could.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a difference of opinion there, which has very little, if anything, to do with the probable cause for the stop.
This court hearing should be wrapped up by now, but the sovereign citizen is stretching it out like it's his personal TD talk. It's insane how he thinks the judge is his personal legal assistant, demanding answers to things he should already know. Judge Oakley is doing his best to keep things moving, but honestly, if this guy can't follow basic rules, I don't know what will get through to him. Maybe a little time in jail will finally make him realize how this whole thing works. So what do you think? Should the judge drop the hammer and put an end to this nonsense? Is it time for this guy to be put in his place? Let's see if he finally decides to shut up or if he's about to get a one-way ticket behind bars.
So I'm going to let the prosecutor explain her position on probable cause.
That's it.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Defendant is requesting this court dismiss the case because of the accusation that operating an ORV on the roadway constitutes a blatant violation of his First Amendment rights and an improper attempt to regulate his constitutional rights. In his most recent motion, he does accurately cite Terry v. Ohio as controlling. This was plainly a Terry stop.
Well, hold on. His argument is there was no reason for the stop.
He does cite Terry v. Ohio in his newest motion.
Okay.
Because people submit that the investigatory stop exception in Terry v. Ohio controls the validity of the traffic stop. An officer may stop and briefly detain a person on the basis of a reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot. Defendant claims that he was stopped without legal justification. Rather, defendant was stopped for operating an ORV on the roadway in violation of MCL 324.81122 as adopted by Huron Township ordinance. Pursuant to the United States v. Ferguson, so long as the officer has probable cause to believe that a traffic violation has occurred or was occurring, the resulting stop is not unlawful and does not violate the Fourth Amendment. On authority of state law and township ordinance, a person shall not operate an ORV which is not registered upon a public highway, street, or right of way. On the date and time of the offense, the defendant operated an ORV which was not registered, specifically an ATV on Middlebelt Road, a public highway in Huron Township. Additionally, during the course of the investigatory stop, defendant failed to provide a valid driver's license and failed to immediately disclose that he was a valid CPL holder and carrying a firearm, which is why he was cited.
All right.
Which
So
I object to the
hold on. All right. So the one misdemeanor is operate the ORV on the roadway, and the other one is fail to display a valid license.
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So that's her response to your argument. They didn't have probable cause. What's your reply to her response?
Well, I object to her terms of operate. There's no evidence that I was operating anything.
Okay, let me stop you. I killed that when I said the whole traveling thing doesn't go anywhere with me. Operating and traveling, as you define operating, or as you define traveling, we define it operating. So
Right.
hold on, I've already ruled on that issue. You can appeal that decision to the circuit court. We're not gonna plow that field again. So now we're talking about probable cause. What I just heard was the township has an ordinance that says nobody can operate an ORV on a roadway. Would you agree that's an ordinance in the township?
Your Honor, I may agree.
Yes
with
or
that.
no? Mr.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, stop. If that's a valid argument or ordinance, and when I say valid, I don't mean if it's constitutional, if it's, stood the test of a challenge. I mean, if it's on the books, all right? If it's a valid ordinance and the officer sees you doing what that ordinance says you can't do, and he pulls you over, that's plenty of probable cause for the stop. So your motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause is also denied. Do you need me to clarify that ruling for your appeal reason?
Yes, I actually, because Your Honor, I object to
What
the
do
fact
you
that
not
calling it
understand?
an
Sir,
ORV.
your objections mean shit to me, okay? I don't care what you're objecting to.
Just like that, boom, 30 days. If that's not the ultimate wake-up call for sovereign citizens, I don't know what is. If you find yourself facing off against Judge Oakley, you might want to reconsider your approach and get yourself a lawyer. This guy thought he could outwit the system, but in reality, all he needed to do was answer some simple questions. Instead, he ended up in jail. The law doesn't work on your terms, it's not optional, and Judge Oakley isn't having any of that nonsense. What do you think? Did the judge go too far, or was he right on the money? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more courtroom chaos. Appreciate you watching.